Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. What is the ruling on purchasing a cat? And this is a frequently asked question. People want to buy cats for whatever reason. They want a cat in their house. But there are narrations which prohibit it. Am I still allowed to buy if there is a need for me to have a cat? Ibn Qudama rahimahullah in Mughni, he says there are a large number of ulama that have permitted the trade of cats. And this includes Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, Al-Hasan al-Basri, Ibn Sirin, Thawri, Malik, Shafi, Ishaq, Abu Hanifa, and the people who are, from the students of Abu Hanifa. And there's a view from Imam Ahmad also. There are a group of scholars which prohibit it, the trade of cats. And this includes Abu Hurairah and Jabir radiyallahu anhuma, Tawus, Ata, Mujahid, and the list goes on. And this is also a view from the Hanbali madhab also. Why is there this difference of opinion? There is a narration in Sahih Muslim that Abu Zubayr rahimahullah is a tabi'i, and he asks Jabir, can I trade in cats? He said no. And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam naha an thaman as-sunnur. He forbade the price of kittens. And there is also a similar narration in this regard in Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, and Nasa'i, and other places in the Sunan. Now, the ulama who have permitted the trade of cats have said these narrations are either, number one, not sahih, and if the isnad is sahih, for the example that we have in Sahih Muslim, then this is a view of Jabir, and it cannot be attributed to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Imam Ahmad said about the narrations in the Sunan, Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, and Nasa'i, he said, "Ma a'lam fihi shay'in yuthbit aw yasih." I do not know anything from these narrations, anything which is authentic. And others from the ulama have said that the Messenger of Allah in other ahadith forbade the trade of dogs, and those narrations do not mention the word sinnur, which is kittens. So they have said that this is an isnad, and the matan is muttarib. Muttarib basically means that they don't align with one another. There seems to be some kind of confusion or contradiction. Therefore, if these narrations are either weak or attributed to Jabir and not the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then you can see that there are a large number of ulama that have permitted it. Others from the ulama have said no, Jabir would not issue this verdict on his own opinion. He must have heard it from the Messenger of Allah. There is a sahih sanad that goes to Jabir in Sahih Muslim, and this is then attributed to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, it becomes prohibited. And now you can see where the difference of opinion comes from, based on the same narrations. Ibn Qudama rahimahullah then goes on to mention as to the reason why, if we were to say that is prohibited, what is the reason? What is the hikmah behind it? And he gives four. Number one, it is a waste of wealth. Now, at that time, it wasn't customarily known that people would have dogs and cats in their homes as pets. So buying something like this, would be a form of wasting wealth in Islam. وَلَا تُبَذِّرْ تَبْذِيرًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, do not waste your wealth. Second reason, and perhaps this should be the first reason, it's probably the most obvious one, which is dogs and cats carry najasa. Dogs themselves carry najasa, and cats bring in najasa because they're carnivores. Therefore, if you were to trade these things and bring them into your home, you're bringing in najasa into your home, therefore it's not permissible. Third reason given by Ibn Qudama rahimahullah is that if we were to permit the trade of dogs and cats in Arabia, until today, they roam freely. And this is the case in many countries. They're not taken as pets. They roam freely on the land. If we are going to make trade out of them, what's going to happen is that people are going to start kidnapping them or enslaving them, and then trading them to make profit out of something which is free for everyone. So capturing animals and being cruel to them is the reason why it is prohibited. Another reason why the ulama, and this is very important, this is a golden principle when it comes to Kitab al-Buyu', the fiqh of trade, is that anything which doesn't carry a benefit, some of the ulama have said such a trade is invalid. Imagine you go and buy something, and you've purchased something, and this thing that you've now bought doesn't carry any benefit. Not to your deen, not to your dunya, not to your akhirah, no, nothing. You've just wasted that wealth. Some of the ulama have said that trade is batil. Therefore, the fourth reason that Ibn Qudama rahimahullah says is that whatever doesn't carry a benefit, it is not permissible for us to trade. Therefore, if there is no benefit, then you shouldn't buy a cat or a dog. But he then goes on to say, Ibn Qudama rahimahullah, فَمَا يُبَاحْ الْإِنْتِفَاعُ بِهِ يَنْبَغِي أَنْ يَجُوزَ بَيْعُهُ. Anything which is going to be beneficial, then in asl, in its origin, it is permissible for us to trade that thing. So those four reasons that we gave as to why some of the ulama said it's not permissible, people enslaving animals, being cruel to animals, etc. If none of those reasons are there, this is what Ibn Qudama is saying here, rahimahullah, and that person is going to benefit from purchasing the cat for their children, to get rid of rodents, for the purpose of mental health, perhaps, companionship, then it becomes permissible for the person to buy it. Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah was asked a similar question. I want to buy, I want a cat, but the only way I can get it is by buying one. So he said, rahimahullah, if there is a need for it, if there is a benefit, then it becomes permissible for a person to buy the cat. This is because, like we have discussed in our discussion here, the evidence in itself is disputed between the ulama. Some of them have rejected it, and some of them have said, it is attributed to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If we know the reason as to why it is impermissible, or makruh, as some of the ulama have said, then if those reasons are not there, then it becomes permissible. And this is the view of the majority of the ulama, that it is permissible to buy a cat, especially if there is a need. And this is the view of Abu Hanifa, Malik, Shafi'i, and a view from the Hanabila. However, us here in the West, me particularly, I know of a community here in Leicester where brothers and sisters, they communicate and they cooperate upon khair. And in order for us not to fall into this prohibition, what they do is they put out a message to say that there is a cat that's available for giveaway. And this is obviously more prudent and this is safer. And if a person can do that, then that's what they should do. However, if there is a need, as we have established here now, with many of the ulama, I would even say the majority of the ulama, from the classical scholars and the contemporary ones, have said that it is permissible for us to buy a cat if there is a need. And these narrations which talk about prohibition are from the view of Jabir, and this is the view of the majority, and it is not attributed to the Messenger of Allah. However, if it is possible for a person to avoid it all and just go for a giveaway, then like we have said, this is better. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He purifies for us our iman and makes our actions righteous. Likewise, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He grants us beneficial knowledge and upright actions which are accepted with Him. Wallahu a'lam. Sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.